You know what I'm going to start with.
I know. And we didn't do juice today. I want to get the pads on before we kind of get those things rolling. It was good to get out there today one, get the kinks out, get the guys going back a little bit, challenge them a little bit coming off the field, and I think that's important. We only get 15 of these before school starts. We got to maximize every one. Excited about getting things kicked off, though.
If you had to give a juice, though, if there's maybe someone who caught your eye today, who was it?
No doubt. Isaac Terrell, right out the gate. He is just a can of whoop ass. It's incredible, his energy, the way he plays, the motor that he revs with. I think Tanner Moku, Lincoln Victor, guys that are always our staples for guys that really bring the energy. Some of our older guys, even though it's their 5th or 6th year, I think they're right where they need to be. But Isaac really stood out to me today as just bringing it on everything that he did.
You talked a lot about yesterday and throughout the summer, kind of about what Coach Iannaccione's done in the weight room to get these guys both faster and stronger. Did you notice that on the field today?
Yeah, we're bigger. I just walking out today, just looking around, you could just see that size is back. It's recruiting, it's development. I think it's every phase of our program really coming together. I think we need to be a little bit more in shape, and we'll get there in a quick order. But I think the strength is there, and I think it's going to breed confidence in our guys, especially at the line of scrimmage.
This might be the same question as the juice thing. I'm kind of out of the loop, but was there anybody in particular or some position group that you were pleasantly surprised by, or that you were just kind of surprised by?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, we had a big message last night to some of last year's freshmen. You're not a freshman anymore. You got to take advantage of that and take a step forward. Ashton Tripp, for a young guy, same thing, just turned 17 years old, 290 pounds, right out of Tri-Cities. Just amazing to come out here and be that athletic and do some interesting things as a young guy. I think Jalen Jenkins and his burst and speed is evident that it's different. Cam had his sleeves rolled up. I think he's proud of the work that he's put in here a little bit as we've gotten started. So excited to get going, and our guys are in some pretty good positions.
You mentioned yesterday the group of true freshmen that might get some snaps this year. Among that group, what'd you make of those guys?
Well, I think Ansel Dinbu has really put in a lot of work. He's one of our strongest guys as a freshman. I think some of his numbers on the back squat, and you got to talk to Ben on some of the things that he's doing, is just incredible. I think Carlos Hernandez is going to push the old guys, and he's going to try to fight his way to play into a starter right in his first year. I think he has the capabilities to do it. I think he has the mental capacity and makeup that the lights won't be too big for him. But as a group, we got to be tough as a group, and I think we'll work on that hard over the next 15 practices.
Coach, I know you want your team to bring the energy to every practice. I have to imagine this practice every year, first time back on the field, has to have some of the most energy. How do you and your coaching staff harness that and direct it and make sure the guys are bringing the energy but in the right spots?
That's a great question, because it's focused energy is the one that's really important, and focused energy to the details of how we need to create habits. That was the biggest thing in what we talked about last night. We got to create habits that are going to show up on game days. Practice execution equals game reality, right? So all of our energy, all of our focus needs to go into the little details that are going to make us better players, and I think that's the coach's number one job. We have to eliminate hesitation in performance. Right? That's my number one job as a head coach of this team. So they're confident, they know what to do, how to do it, and we play with no hesitation. Right? So energy just can't be just jumping around. It's got to be focused to the details. Right? So we'll have a lot of learns from this tape. I'm excited to get the coaches back coaching them again, and we'll take a step forward tomorrow.
I saw the Jake Dickert tackling seminar return for the wide receivers.
Seminar is a strong word, right? Maybe kicking off the rust. I think that was what you were saying.
How much do you enjoy? I know as a head coach, you roam over practice, but how much do you enjoy those moments where you get to lock in with one position group and coach them up?
I can't even tell you how much I love it. To throw the hat backwards and teach them frontal tackling to some receivers, guys that are going to make an impact on special teams. And I love Coach Witt first and foremost, how he has everybody doing something. So to use kind of some of my old expertise maybe and teaching these guys how to tackle, it's something I look forward to every practice.
Jake, second year as full-time head coach here, and then you got Cam Ward on his second year, and the vets like RJ, BJ. Does it just feel like there's a little bit more of comfort around the whole program right now?
I think guys know what to expect. Even report day, we separated vets and some newcomers and went into deep dive in detail with some of the new guys on our team. And vets, it was just some quick reminders. This is how we do it. This is the expectation. This is the standard. Let's go out and execute, right? So I think you can't prepare everybody the same way, and you got to know that everyone's on a different chapter in their journey. RJ needs different things than Isaac Terrell, right? So I thought our older guys did a good job really coming out and, kind of showing the young guys, what it takes to be here. A lot of guys, those first practices, a lot of nerves. Saw a lot of those things out there and a lot of bad habits that you have from high school. That's okay. Just don't do them again tomorrow.
Okay, and building off that, first year in offense and defense here with the new coordinators, how do you feel like both sides are coming along?
Well, I think we're more multiple than we were last year on both sides of the ball. So I think that's exciting. I think we took a step forward schematically. I think things that fit our players maybe even better. Just really excited about how versatile we're being with our edge rushers on defense. Ram Stevenson's another guy that I think his versatility is really showing up even through day one. And I think Coach Arbuckle is going to challenge these guys, to really hone in on the details and be great at executing their jobs. And I think we're more athletic on offense. I keep saying it. I keep seeing it. Now we got to go out and do it.
Kind of building off that, how different might we see the Cougs on both sides of the ball this season? Is it going to be super different than last year, or kind of the same schemes?
Well, I just think you can't stay the same. I think the core of what we do will stay the same. I'm a 80-20 guy. We're going to retain 80 and we're going to move on and be better at 20%, and we got to keep evolving, and I'm really confident that's what we've done.
Coach, you mentioned Devin yesterday, obviously coming in with big shoes to fill, but he's going to have to, step into that role and kind of also be a leader along with your edges. How has he kind of ingratiated himself as a Coug so far?
I think he's gained the respect of his teammates, and in a short order, and that's probably not a bigger compliment that I could probably give a player, a transfer guy, a guy that's, that experienced than that. He was our super freak weight room guy of the summer, right? To do that, you got to show up every day just ready to work, and I think he's improved himself. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think all those elements together fit being a Coug, and I think he embraces the opportunity, and I think he's ready to take advantage of it. I really do. I got a ton of confidence in Devin.
Coach, one mantra that you've preached is all we got, all we need. How would you describe what that means not only for you, but your program as a whole this season?
I just think there's a lot of distractions. And my number one job is to focus our 18 to 23-year-old men on the mission of what we need to do. And there's no farther place that we need to look through than our own selves. I think we have the talent, but the talent sets the floor. The connection sets the ceiling, right? So it's a mantra to say we have what we need. There's no new things coming. We control everything from our execution, and we can win every game as long as we control the things that we can control. And I think that's great. That's great. It's a great place to be, but it's a 1-0 mindset, and you got to attack it every day.
Well, speaking of talent, what were some observations from you on how Cam Ward did in his scheme under Coach Arbuckle?
Cam, by far, is way more in the new techniques and the new fundamentals of what he's doing. I think you see that. And it isn't about the strength of how he's throwing, it's about the accuracy of how he's throwing. So his command of what he's doing is on par with where he needs to be. I think his football IQ is really elevated, and he's ready to do some big things.
We talk about the older guys on the roster all the time here, Brennan and RJ, and the 6-year guys. Is there something to maybe those guys being almost player coaches kind of guys where they do bring along the young players? Is there anything to that?
Oh, there's a million times over. I mean, there's coach-driven and there's player-driven, right? So when those guys take advantage of the messaging that we need and they live to the standard, and when your best players are also your hardest workers, you have a lot of power in that as a coach and as a program. That doesn't mean those guys are perfect, but each and every day, our young guys have a great example to look at and say, do it this way, because I'm going to get that type of success if I do it. And I think BJ and RJ and a lot of those other guys, Lincoln, have really put in the time, and they're ready to have their best seasons too. And I think that's a great place to be.
Piggybacking off of that, you're kind of roaming around, going to different position groups. But how nice is it to say, hey, there's some 6-year guys over there on that defensive side that I ain't got to worry about?
Oh, it's great. You can't put a price tag on experience. And those guys have such a bank of repetition underneath the lights and winning games and situations that I think that's really important, and finishing is a big key to this season. We did a really good job of getting out to some leads, and we took our foot off the gas. Is one thing that I learned tremendously as a head coach. Maybe that's the defensive core in me, but at the end of the day, we need to keep the gas down and finish, and I think that's going to be a big theme as we go throughout camp.
Can you give me some perspective on how you do a gradual ramp up, like you mentioned yesterday, but also push them and make sure they're still, giving their all out there?
Well, I show them the plan. I show them all 15 days. Today was an 18-period practice. By Saturday, it'll be 21. Monday, we come back, it's 24. But there's a high and low to it, right? So next week, we're 21 periods on Monday, 24 on Tuesday, 18 Wednesday, right? So what I want them to understand is take the governor off. Your job as a player is to go out here and give everything you have. My job as the head coach is to take care of you, right? So we have catapults. We know their distances, their max speeds. We know when their max speeds are dipping. There's so much analytical information that goes into taking care of them. And as coaches, we got to do that. So all they know is to play 100%.
With the tight ends, big picture, what's kind of the outlook for that position group? I know Ben was, the guy last year, but you guys got several other guys in the mix today, at least.
What a competitive group it's going to be in fall camp. Between Billy and Cooper, Cam, Andre needs to take the next step in his progression. I think there's just a lot of things that I'm excited for that group. I think we have more weapons than just kind of efficient players like we did last year. Those guys have all gotten better, and now they need to go prove to Coach Arbuckle and more importantly to themselves that they have what we see. And I think those guys can be weapons this year. All right, go Cougs. Thanks, guys.